Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hey, welcome everybody as you're starting to come in. And you know what? Before I go any further, just to make sure that you can hear me, you can't see me, but I don't know how we can put in there. You can see me. But anyway, if you can hear me, put in the chat where you're from. I would love to know where you're from. Plus, that allows you to exercise the how do I ask a question? Now, we're going to ask everybody to stay muted. Okay. Please stay muted because when we have a lot of people talking, it's kind of hard to hear our investors who spending their time today to kind of showcase the things that they're doing. So if you don't mind putting in the chat, that would be really awesome. And then, matter of fact, thank you. People are actually doing that. And so we got people from Brooklyn, New York, from Crown Heights, Brooklyn is in the house. Hey, we got Southern Delaware. Welcome. Thank you for being here. We also got Michigan in the house. Oh, two people from Michigan. Hey, Bobby. Hey, it's good to see you, my friend, out of Michigan. Hey, we got Washington, D.C. Hey, D, I see you. Atlanta, Denver, Cali. I think you're flying because you're moving pretty fast to get to those many states. But hey, welcome. I'm glad you're here. Seattle, Washington's in the house, Michigan. Now, I see how you spelt that whole word out there. I'm not going to say that, but I'm just going to say you just came from Michigan. I see you, Camille. Hey, Chicago's in the house. Memphis, Tennessee's here. Hey, I'm from Virginia. And so thank you, Fredericksburg. We got another Virginianese in there. How you doing, the car? Good to see you. Hey, happy New Year's to everybody who's out there. We're gonna get this thing going here in a couple more seconds. So if you don't have a pen and paper, I'm gonna give you about 30 seconds to go ahead and get that together because Happy New Year's. We have a featured investor that's going to share some stuff. If you've been thinking about real estate investing and you're not really sure, and you're like, hey, I'm a newbie, oh, we got a good one for you today. We're going to share some good information. Now, we're going to keep this really tight because they are in action. And every year we do this. I wanted to say, first of all, thank you, Scott Buckles, for putting this together because if it wasn't for you, man, we wouldn't be having these property tours. We do them every Saturday, and that's really awesome. 2024 was an awesome year the way we did this, and I want to thank you and a lot of property. So if you're just coming on board, hey, 2025 is we got a lot of stuff in store for you, and we'd love to feature you. If you are an investor within the community, just reach out to us. And we want to go ahead and showcase your deal because why? This is really awesome. We like the community and we like how we share a lot of information. So we got some more people still coming in from Connecticut. Put in the chat where you're from, and we're gonna get started here. So awesome. So again, my name is Keith Jones. I am so glad that you're here. We do these property tours. Why? Because people are really want to know how to get started. They're wondering, can I do real estate investing? I saw 2024 went by. Now I'm in 2025, and I really think I want to do something. Well, you know what? Today, make sure you have your listening ears on today. Make sure you write down all your questions. And matter of fact, the person who invited you to this meeting, the Happy New Year's, our first property tour for the year for 2025, go ahead and tell them thank you. Just go ahead and just give them a chat. However, just tell them thank you because the things that you're going to hear today will be very impactful of what you want to do in 2025. So again, thank you for everybody who's putting in the chat. We're going to get started. So if you can see my flyer, I just want to welcome Michael and Nicole. If you don't mind coming on out, I'm gonna go ahead and stop my share here. So thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
We got an opportunity to talk and chat, but there's a lot of people here who don't know who you are. So if you don't mind kind of telling like who you are just a little bit and kind of talk about why this community and what made you move forward about real estate investing, especially this is your first deal, so we're so excited.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, we've always known that real estate is a financial bonus. I just thought that it was for the rich and all the rest of that other good stuff as well. And we actually were going around and trying to start a Turo business when we came across a community member working at a car dealership. And I flipped the paper over, started doing kind of running numbers, and he's like, "Man, I got the community for you, man. Like, this is where you belong." And so we came along and started coming around the community and listening to a couple of the intro meetings and getting to know some people and stuff like that. And then we had attended a local property tour and got to actually see some of the numbers and some of the real things that people were doing. And that was kind of our deal of, we're all in. Like this is where we want to go. We had wanted the path prior and it just kind of it was the time it fell in our lap. And we ran with it.
Awesome, awesome. Now, so you have somebody next to you. She's in the camera. She's coming out. I know there's something she probably wants to say. So
Yeah.
you know what? We always like to hear from your perspective because some people, they're individual, or sometimes there's couples, and sometimes people just want to hear the other side. Like, what are your thoughts about, moving forward? What helped you move forward also?
Um, the community was a lot. We had tried other things when we were younger. We did Amway Global. And I don't know if you've ever done that, but that was a mess trying to be entrepreneurs then. So we were a little bit skeptical. And then coming in and seeing the success of others and the reassurance from them and the support and how they spoke about the education. The education part of it I liked was um, this is what we're doing, but this is how we did it. And they were very willing to share that knowledge with you. And that's what I really liked because in the past, when people have success with people that we've been around, it's like the untold secret. They don't want to tell you what's making them successful because they don't want you to take from their pocket. So it was very nice to have a community and just having my rock here. It helped me. He reassures me, and I like to think that I reassure him on what we're doing is actually going to be successful. So that's always really nice.
That is awesome. And thank you for sharing it because a lot of people are starting from different places because there's some folks, again, like I was saying, this is their first time, right? This is their first exposure. And we all have that, what I want to call protection, right? We're like, oh, I want to hear, but I
The
want to
security
protect myself.
blanket.
Yeah, yeah. As in the military, we call that wovie. We I want to cover my, we want, but we all go through that. And what really caught me too was the sharing of information. Like I was so surprised. It was so weird that I was like, no, they're just making
Man,
this up.
you're like, what's really going on here, man? Like, come on
Exactly.
now.
And then
But
we
I
saw these
mean, but it was,
properties.
and not only just the sharing of the information, but the people in the community that were like, if you get in a position, we're always here to help you. If you get somewhere and you don't quite understand where you're at or what you're doing, we got you. And they weren't just words. We had actually witnessed the community having each other's back. We had seen people go in business with each other and come out on the other side both with smiles, and things along those lines. So that positivity. And here's the thing, going into some of these meetings at the beginning, just the sheer positivity of the meeting, after about two or three of them, you kind of start to Jones for it. You're kind of like, man, I really need that positivity in my life because I just like being around people that are genuinely smiling and are genuinely like want to help you and be around you and want to help you grow as long as they're growing. And I've never kind of really got that sense of community out anywhere else that we had been.
Yeah, because I like that, some people say, iron sharpen irons, right? And kind of moving forward. And that's really awesome. So as you was looking at the community and you saw the education, you decided to make a decision, you're like, I'm going to go ahead and do this. And as you move forward, you saw this property. How did you find this property? Can you talk about this property?
This is actually, yeah, this is a pretty cool story. I've been wanting to come out of a 9 to 5 job for a long time. When I was in my 20s, I supported myself playing poker for a lot of years as a professional poker player. I stopped because I had kids and that's a little risky to play poker for a living. So I went and was a chef for a while, and then I was a lineman for a while. And then I decided that, you know what, let's my kids are older now. Let's give this a old go to free up our time, because the community, we had seen these people making moves and doing things, and we're going, why aren't we? And it was always a time issue. We don't have time. The same old excuses, we don't have time. It's not enough time in the day. 24 hours isn't enough hours. I need one more day in the week, kind of type stuff. And um, we pulled the trigger and I walked away from the job to start doing poker. And I had met a gentleman on a poker table and was talking about what I was doing. And I was doing that at the time for a living. But what I really wanted to do was real estate. And my key piece that I'm missing is a wholesaler. And he goes, man, I got a good friend of mine that's been a wholesaler for like 30 years, man. So, well, can I get his information from you? And he said, absolutely. And so he sent over his information. I made the phone call. And about within 3 hours of that phone call, I was on my way to the bank to cut a check for earnest money and a little bit of the wholesale fee to lock up the property.
Oh, wow, wow. And so did you actually see the property before you did anything?
We did, yeah. So the property is about a 3-minute drive from my personal residence. We got pretty lucky like that. So this was just around the corner, and he said, "Hey, man, I've got this property. I can meet you there." I said, "Dude, I'm a couple minutes away." So I went down and met up with them, walked the property. There was still a tenant in there.
Okay.
It was a mess. I mean, it smelled like a dirty diaper. Floors were terrible, countertops were disgusting, boxes and trash, and the toilet hadn't been flushed in 10 years, probably, kind of type deal. So it was, we did the walkthrough. He gave me kind of this is my rendition of the numbers and what it's looking like. And like I said, I got lucky because it was in my neighborhood. So I know what's selling and what's going on in my neighborhood and things along those lines, thanks to my wife, who's the numbers lady that likes to keep track of what's selling in the neighborhood, what's for sale. And so I had a pretty good idea of what comps were looking like for the 3-1 that we were looking like and renovations and stuff. What was thanks to the education, I had put together a really good estimate of what it would take to do the house. And, for us, our situation was it's really going to take a lot for us to mess this house up and actually lose some money here. We got to really just drop the ball and not lean on the community and just kind of really do multiple things wrong to end up on the bad side of this. And this is, we got to cut our teeth. If we keep waiting, we keep waiting. We're never going to pull the trigger. We're never going to do it. It's right here. It's in my lap. It's right now, or we wait again. And we're tired of waiting. And we just said, you know what? Let's do it. Let's pull the trigger. Let's get this first one under our belt. We got to do something because we got tired of watching all of the community making moves and us not doing anything, man.
It's almost like coach put me in the game, coach put me in the game, and y'all kind of talked. And I like the beauty of as y'all was learning about real estate investing, the encouragement from the community, and then having a conversation. That's one of the things that people don't, people say, well, I'm shy, I don't want to talk. Well, that's part of what we call real estate investing. You have to talk to people, right? And as you learn, you build that self-confidence. And so a lot of people are looking at, hey, 2025 is this is going to be the year. Well, a lot of it that I learned through the education, but the support of the community that helps my motivation and my confidence level because it helped me reduce what I call the risk. As I learned, I said, okay, because I had to unlearn what I knew before or what I thought I knew, all those myths in my head. And then I started getting around. I said, wait a minute. And I learned, and then from the community and hearing their experience, I says, okay, you know what? Okay, this is doable. And then it's kind of interesting. You says, I want to, act like you, but I can't, like, hey, baby, can you run these numbers and see what, and then she ran the numbers because you leaned, right? And so as you kind of use that, you also probably talk to somebody in the community too, right?
Not right off the bat. This was kind of, the wholesaler being a wholesaler, and we've got another people on the hook, and we've got somebody lined up right behind you, and all this other stuff. But for us, none of that mattered. For us, what it was is we looked at it. I put the numbers kind of right there together in front of them as we were looking at stuff. I called my wife. I said, "Look, here's the numbers. This is what we're looking like. This isn't a home run." And some other investors may turn away from it, but and like I said, the situation we're in, this is really going to take a lot for us to really just mess this up. And there's going to be some hiccups here. We know that, but we really got to go in the wrong direction here. And I think this is where we could really cut our teeth. This is where we could really learn a lot, just about the timing aspects and stuff like that. And, um, good thing I have a support system because my wife was like, well, what are you doing standing there, dude? Go cut the check, bro.
Yeah.
And
You know what?
so
You bring up a good point that I want to make sure that everybody sees. Y'all were determined, right? You had a number, you had something and he was like, okay, if we can get it this, then I feel comfortable to doing that. But until you actually sit down and says what that is and be, like truthful to yourself, like that's what we had to do. It's like, okay, here's my minimum. If I do that minimum and I run my numbers, everything, there's my cushion that I had there and says, you know what? I'm gonna pull the trigger. And that's different for everybody. So I want to make sure everybody who is listening, like what made you think you want to do? We ask those questions. That's great that we get answers, but you have to look internally and says, okay, what do I need in order to move forward as you look in 2024, 2025? So if you don't mind, I'm gonna stop sharing. Well, I'm not sharing, but if you don't mind, kind of pull up your slide about the property because I know some people are really eager to see. Property is
absolutely
not so far
no
from me.
problem whatsoever. Let's go. I think this one should pull up, and then I will put it into PowerPoint mode there. Can we all see that there? Is that all good?
Yep, is there. And so if you don't mind telling us like, how many bedrooms, how many baths, kind of like give us the layout of this so that way we can picture it in our minds.
Okay, okay. So here what we're taking a look on the left side is the front door. And then on the right side is actually a picture from the rear door of the house into the kitchen. In the front door, as you walk in, there's a nice sized living room, and there's some other pictures I'll kind of show you in there as well too. And then a nice natural fireplace. It is a 3-1. It's about 1,100 square feet. I think 1093 is, I think, exactly where it is. And then its house was built in the 50s. So this whole area,
Ranch style.
it is a ranch style home. It is one level. So, but this area was all built by one gentleman in the 50s. And this is an older town in a suburb of Denver called Thornton, which is right up north of Denver, about 10-minute drive or so. Let's see, anything else about the house? Let's see, what else about the house? When we bought the house, we got it worked in. The wholesaler actually had a new roof worked in on the house. That was a nice little bonus that we
So
got
you didn't
there.
have to worry about the roof.
We got a brand new roof, and this also has a single car detached garage on it as well. So they re-roofed the garage and the main home at the same time. So this house has a new roof on it that actually the wholesaler kind of got into contract for us.
So I just want to pause just for a second because some people don't really understand that that's a major thing where you didn't have to worry about that it was already taken care of for you. Now, I know in the classes we talk about negotiating and we talk about wholesaling in our class. We talk about fix and flip and so on. When you saw this, were you automatically thinking fix and flip? Were you thinking about doing a buy and hold? What other strategies were you thinking about when you saw this property from the first time?
So I mean, because of the education, we're always, what's plan B and what's plan C. First plan A, because of where we're at in our financial situation, the fix and flip makes the most sense right now. I walked away from my job about 5, 6 months ago, and my side of my income stopped. So doing this is will help us out, kind of type deal. But yeah, I mean, it's just oh, excuse me, I got something on me. Um, Shoot, I just forgot what I was saying. You'll have to forgive me. But the fix and flip is initially where we want to go. Now, if we go to we go to market, we're not getting any hits, or we're not kind of getting the price of what we're looking like, then the loans for making it midterm or short term is exactly kind of where we're at. We know that we're going to go on the market. We're going to play it kind of week by week and see where we're at by that second week. If we're not sitting kind of exactly where we want to be, we'll go ahead and start the process to turn this either into a medium term or a short term rental, or possibly long term if it works out that way as well.
That's that's awesome because that gives people that. So what that does is it gives you a little bit more confident that you have other ways to pivot as needed.
Yes.
You still got
Yeah.
your main thing is your main thing, but
Yep.
it also allows you to, you know what, we can pivot if we need to. But we that's awesome.
Yeah, because with the holding costs and stuff like that, there's only a certain amount of time you have before the flip starts to not be worth it. So for us, when we start getting to that barrier and saying, is it more worth it to take the cash up front now or over the longevity of the rental? Kind of we'll make that decision when we get to that crossroads kind of type deal. But we know the paths that are laid out there. We're looking at the DSCR loan is so we can get to the short-term rentals, because those are really taking off here in Denver and especially in our area right now. Short-term rentals are big. This property is less than a 2-minute drive from a hospital.
Oh
So we could
wow.
do medium term and gear it towards the traveling nurses that are there because they take care of their properties. They're never home. They're always at work. And when they are home, all they want to do is relax and have a bite to eat. They work hard and they just, they take care of what they have because they work hard.
That's
And
awesome.
and so, that's another option. But these are things that were explained to us through the community. We watched the community pivot before. We've done house tours where it was in the construction phase, and then, oh yeah, by the way, we've changed from the flip and now we're holding it to a short-term rental. Oh, okay, cool. And I like to talk to people. I'm a very people person. So I have no problem coming up and asking questions like, hey, how did you do that? Why did you do that? Why, what happened here? And if they're comfortable enough to talk about it, then we'll have that conversation.
That's awesome. As we continue to go, I just want to remind everybody who's on today, we're doing this live. So if there's a question that you have, go ahead and put it in the chat, and we'll go ahead and answer it as we kind of go through. And then you were like, well, what is this community? What is this education? The person who invited you to this one, there's a meeting right after this. Just reach out to them and just say, you know what, I want to attend that next meeting. But if you can't, I understand it's Saturday, you may have some things going on. Still reach out to them and ask where's the next meeting so you can understand more about this community and the education so you can go ahead and maximize your 2025 kind of going forward. So that's really awesome. So I think you have some more pictures you want to show us and kind of walk us through.
Yeah, so I mean, this is kind of where we're at here. So this is when we started. Here's some ugly, ugly photos of the house. You can see the bathroom, it's completely tore up, destroyed, just disgusting. And then the floors are that way kind of throughout the entire house. I don't think they took a mop to them for probably over a decade, and they were natural hardwood floor in there as well. Probably at least a quarter inch of grime and dust across the entire house. I think the best picture depicts it right there in front of that fireplace. It was just it was filthy, filthy to the bone. So we closed on the house on October 1st of 2024. And then with a GC and getting some kind of quotes and working it in there, we broke construction on October 16th, was when we actually started the demo, running through everything. And that was me just kind of making sure, man, I really just didn't want to mess up. And it was just got to get the right one, got to get the right one. And I put myself a little farther back than I wanted to, when it came to starting the work. So,
Well,
mistake. Oops.
you know what? But that's really interesting, right? Because we get a lot of people who will come on and says, oh, they've been doing this for a while and stuff like that, and they make up some other stuff. But this is your first deal that you're
Yeah.
actually doing, and so as you kind of talking about those concerns, you're learning, you communicating with people, you still doing, but you still have those concerns. But as each day kind of goes by, you're like, okay, okay, all right, I'm kind of seeing how this is kind of played out because you've seen it before. And so you talked about like general contractors. Like, how did you find your general contractors? Is that somebody just gave it to you? I mean, did you interview some folks kind of moving forward? Do you have
So
any?
I had gotten a couple quotes from some people that I had just kind of looked online, reached out to just to kind of get some base kind of quotes. And then I had somebody that was recommended to me through the community that had done some work with some people that I really admire as well. Said, hey, give this guy a try. They've done some solid work for us, and we've watched them do multiple things. And if they're using them, well, heck, I want to use them too. So we ran with them. We jumped on with them on board, and this is kind of the byproduct of what we did. We came in and we just started getting to work right away, as much and as heavy as we could with that demo process. And we had, at this point where these pictures were taken here, at this point, we had the roof going. We had concrete guys coming in to lay concrete down, and then we had the demolition going on inside the house. So we were, the house was busy. It was exciting. It was the first time we had seen that from our own hard work.
Awesome. So that picture on the top left is like the entryway.
So that was as if you were to walk in through the front door. That wall that we cut out, that was a solid wall there. And then there's the fireplace that I had showed you kind of to the right of that, just a
Right.
little bit there. And that's the first picture. And then the second picture right next to it on the right-hand side, is a picture of the kitchen during the demolition. And the kitchen that we didn't really have a good picture of it. Um, but there's just kind of the walls taken out, gutted down. And then you can see some of the cabinets and kind of the equipment shape and stuff like that. And then if you look closely at the tile, it looked better when we put it in there. But if you look at the tile here, every single one of those tile is broken and busted and not even held down by the grout anymore. They kind of crunched when you walked across them, to
Oh,
show you how
wow.
bad that was. And then the demo part of the bathroom there. Oh, excuse me, wrong way. And then the demo part of the bathroom. This is kind of as we started going back through here, and this is right after the demo. So the garage that you're seeing here, and we didn't account for that. So we buffed in a contingency money for just in case if things popped up. When we initially looked at this property, that garage was a jam-packed full of everything and anything under the sun. So we didn't get a chance to see it until it was completely pulled out. When it was completely pulled out, the concrete was it was bad. It
It was
was
duct taped.
yeah.
They had duct tape on the concrete. I don't know if they thought it wasn't going to shift it anymore or what the
Yeah.
case may be,
Hey,
but
you know what they say, if you can't duck it, right?
yeah, so
Yeah,
it was pretty severe.
Yeah. So I
And
was
then
looking at
so
this.
we didn't know that. We didn't account for that, but we did build in a contingency into our loan that we were thought about.
Renovation.
Unfortunately, our renovation budget, excuse me. Let me rephrase that. So unfortunately, that kind of ate up all of the contingency and some because we went from pouring a patio to doing a patio and an entire garage floor, which was a lot more expensive than what we had anticipated. But the contingency built in, we have control of costs, so we were able to kind of work and play with it and do some things to kind of get us moving forward and feeling nice and comfortable. So the pictures on the left hand side of this slide in the middle, you'll see that is also the kitchen. That is right before the center photo. That's kind of like the two stages that are there. The flooring, just to show you kind of what some sanding and a little elbow grease will do to some pretty nasty floors. We salvaged them. We restained them.
The original
The
hardwood.
original hardwood that's on there, we did not cover it because man, it looks gorgeous. I mean, we're both big hardcore fans, hardwood floor fans. So they kind of
Awesome.
kept that. And then just kind of some tiling. That is a cast iron um
Tub.
bathtub in the bathroom. So if anybody knows cast iron, it is absolutely a beast to try to handle. It is heavy and it is hard to move. So we went ahead and left that bathtub in there and just designed our bathroom around the tub. So we didn't have to have that cost to have it removed out of there. Um, and then here's kind of a little bit more of going into some more of the finishing stages. We've captured some of the hardwood floor in a couple of these photos to show kind of what that finish is looking like now. It still needs our clear cut coat going down on it. Right as we're coming down after we get done with the cleaning and the final steps, the very, very last thing we'll do is he'll come in and put that clear coat down on those hardwood floors. This is my wife's beautiful color scheme that she chose. She's the designer. She designed the kitchen, she designed the bathroom, she picked out all the lighting. She did all of that stuff, and then all I basically did was handle the contractors and keeping the project moving forward. And that's the dynamic of our teamwork.
Yeah,
That's how
I
I go.
like that. I like that tag team work, and we definitely, people like looking at it like that. That is awesome, especially how you open up that front right there, kind of brings in more light. It shines there, and then the colors, and then just the material and the savings that y'all was able to do by reusing, repurposing some of the items that was already there. That is really awesome. And I agree. If you can save the floors, that is definitely awesome.
And then we know that in this neighborhood is a very, very large Spanish speaking Hispanic community. And us being Hispanic ourselves and coming from that neighborhood, we know Hispanics enjoy the hardwood floors, the natural woods, things along those lines. So we didn't want to cover those up. We wanted to keep those available because we're thinking about who we're selling to. That first time home buyer that's got the little baby that's coming in with them. What are they going to be comfortable with? What are they going to think that they're going to like? And things along those lines. And we decided that covering up those floors is not a good idea.
Yeah, you bring up a good point because like some people would like change out the bathtub, and then if you're selling to a young family, they need a tub for the baby to take a bath. So you definitely want to keep that, and so and that being solid and not flimsy, that makes the new homeowner feel really good about the.
Yeah, and having two sets of eyes is was huge for me here. Just kind of an idea on this breakfast nook on the very top left corner. There's a breakfast nook that's there. I wanted to put the stove in the corner there. And my wife was like, well, if they're gonna have, young kids, because that's this area and this is who's gonna buy this, the family's not gonna want to have their kids sitting here with a hot stove and a hot back right here. That's just not gonna flow right. That's not gonna work, right? And it was like, man, I really wanted the stove here because it opens up for cooking and being a part of everybody and the flow of everything. But yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense. So let's move the stove down a little bit, so that, those kind of ideas were invaluable. I didn't think about that. I just thought about the flow. I wasn't thinking about the kids. And shoot, I got two kids, you know.
No, I get it, and there's a lot of things that you are talking about that resonate, and the reason why I'm talking about that is you're talking about the neighborhood, and you're talking about the community in that neighborhood, your idea who you want to sell it to. So in the community, we call that market analysis. So you know what's in the area, you know what people are looking for, what does the neighborhood need? So it's not like I want to do this. Y'all kind of set back and says, you know what? We're from this area. I see the house. This community needs this, and it's going to probably want that. And when the family comes in, this is what they're looking for. So when you ran your numbers, you also look at the needs of the area, combine those two together, and y'all just I like what y'all did here. And so it's kind of like I want to do it. I have an idea. I have a hunch, but then you backed it up with knowledge of the education and then support of the community, and then your hunch comes back in again. It's like, you know what? Nah, we're gonna do this, and this is what we need to do. And you had that idea because I don't design the house either.
It's a lot harder
I
than
don't
you
put paint.
think.
I don't even put paint on the wall because I'll mess that up, right? So
Right, right.
she does that. I learned over years to kind of like let her do that, and y'all also did an awesome job here, kind of collaborating and kind of working your strengths. So I want to pause just for a second. Sometimes I go off on the tangent just a little bit, but what
Oh,
I'm seeing what y'all doing is a lot of people say, well, I gotta, get stronger in this area. I gotta work this. What y'all did is y'all worked your strength and y'all collaborated internally and with the community to bring out your strength. And then you find people who work your things. Now, here's a question I want to ask. Did you keep your team completely through your project? Did anybody have to change out during your project? As a first time doing this, did y'all have to change out some people? Did some people leave on you? Because people are concerned about that. Like, if I do this project the first time, people may leave. Did y'all have that happen?
Yeah. I mean, that's just we didn't have anybody leave us high and dry though, and that was a big, big bonus. But I also cover our rear end with that. If they're needing a deposit for labors or anything along those lines, it's a minimal deposit. And I negotiate that down with them. I need $1,000. Yeah, well, we're not gonna get $1,000 out of me, dude. You're gonna
Yeah.
get some material and then invoice me on the material that you're gonna send, that you're gonna use, and I'll buy material to start with, and I'll give you a little bit on the labor just to show you that I'm serious. And then we can kind of rock and roll from there and go from there. And a lot of contractors are open for negotiation. A lot of people are real afraid to approach them with the negotiation, so they just don't do it a lot of times. But if you say, hey, look, man, this is where I'm at, this is a situation, transparency is huge. People have lives too. People understand. So an issue that we ran into with my GC is that he had a counter guy or a marble and granite guy that he used and regularly. We're gonna put countertops in, and we're looking about a day or two before Thanksgiving, and then he disappeared, and we couldn't get a hold of him, and the project came to a halt. And so I'm on the phone with my general contractor going, hey man, what are we gonna do? And he's going, well, my guy's disappeared. And I can't wait. So I start making phone calls and I call up some people and I say, hey, can you come out and give me a quote on just installing some countertops for me? And then I have a lifelong friend of mine, a very, very good friend of mine that's worked in the granite and um, quartz industry for 25 years now. So I call him up and I'm saying, hey, what are slabs? And I'm working everything that I know from my friends to people that I've met in the community. And I'm saying, hey, I'm calling saying, hey, do you have somebody that does quartz? Because I'm trying to put quartz in, and this happened, and the community is like, shh, I got you. Here, call this person first. If not, then call so and so, and they got somebody that they really like cool, awesome, and that's where we fell back on the community and said, hey, who's, where? And then actually we met with somebody the other day from the community that we didn't reach out to, and we were explaining this situation, and she goes, why didn't you call me? Like, I got somebody that would have helped you, man. Like, why didn't you make the phone call? And I was, you're sitting there going, oh man, why didn't I? But it was just kind of some, I'm kind of that guy that, some things that you just got to figure out some stuff. And if I
And that's
get
really,
into a
and I
spot
think,
where I don't know, then I'll reach out, but I don't want to keep reaching out. I want to kind of fight through the weeds a little bit. And because, baptized by fire is the best way that I learn. I learned the hard knock way. I've been like that my whole life. I've made a lot of bad decisions when I was younger, and I've paid for it through the years. But I learned my lesson. Unfortunately, I had to pay for it for a long time to learn my lesson. And I know that. So, sometimes fighting through those weeds for me is kind of how we go and we do it. And, I have my support system and my buddy and everything right here with me plugging along too. So it makes it a big deal.
right. There's some folks who, and thank you for sharing, because some people are like, as a new person, you know, what did you go through? And you just sharing that, you had a person, the person left, who was on. That's why in our community in education, we're talking about building a team. And so you have your, what we call your first team, right? And then if that doesn't happen, you have a second team, you have the third team, and then you always have the community. And I love that part because that exact same thing happened to me, but it was our general contractor who left. So we had to find a whole new team. But you know what?
Yeah,
It prepare you because why would I need a second team? You need to follow the process so that way when things happen, not that we want it to happen, that you can go and kind of move forward, if that makes sense.
absolutely. Absolutely. And that's where we were at with that whole situation. It just kind of we got caught with our pants down a little bit because we were chugging along. We were chugging along. We were gonna make deadline. We were looking good. We were doing everything, and then bam, punch right in the lips. And it was like, okay, well, how do you take that on the chin and keep moving forward? you know
Yeah.
so it kind of staggered us a little bit because I hadn't had to deal with it before. So it kind of set me off just a little bit, but it was like, okay, what's the process? Where am I at? What do I need to do to go next? I know I got to get this done. Okay, well, how do I do it? Well, you got to get somebody out here. Well, how do I get somebody out here? You make a phone call, call a granite guy, pick up, get on Google and Google in, tile and granite close to me, and contractors for it and stuff like that. And start calling these guys up and say, hey, I just need you to come down and get a quote. Hey, I have, X amount of square feet that needs to be cut. Give me a estimate on what you charge me per square foot to cut and install this, and then you can kind of draw up your own estimates and do those things, and yeah, we wouldn't have known this if it wasn't for the community and watching people deal with this.
Yeah.
We've seen this before. We just hadn't had to deal with it ourselves.
Okay. Do you have one more slide? Just want to make sure because I know that
We
y'all
do.
you have okay, because I know that y'all have some things because this is y'all going into as we're getting close to the punch list, and I know y'all want to get back to your property because I think y'all closing some things up because it goes on the market this week. So
Yes.
again, I want to thank you for your time coming and kind of sharing this. And I think you got some numbers, so I'm gonna let you go ahead and walk through what you have here.
Cool. Awesome. So when we initially did, so the purchase price and the wholesale fee was at 312 for the house. We put in 45 for the rental budget. And that included the contingency and whatnot that we did. So we ran our numbers very conservative. And that's kind of our thing is we run very conservative. And if they're still falling in the conservative side of what we should do as far as buying goes, then that kind of lines up for us. It's kind of the same thing that you do when you play cash flow, when you go into the communities, when you set the standard of, if the property meets X, Y, Z, if it meets X and Y, then it's purchase time. And this kind of checked a couple of those boxes for us. And this is what made us pull the trigger, mainly on the reno, that it was cosmetic. We didn't have structural. We didn't have things along those lines. The wholesaler added a lot of value into the home when we purchased it because of the roof that he had negotiated in there as well. So that was a big deal. And then as you kind of come through, so the purchase price and the budget is kind of what's tied up into the house. The holding cost is what we pay out every single month to hold the property, the electricity, the water, the loans, the to pay back all the money that's been loaned to us and things along those lines. And then what we did is we took the hard money when we took our loan was at 10%, and we took 90% of the purchase price. So at the 312,000, I think at the 10%, we ended up having to put down a little over 30,000. I think it was like $32,000 or something like that is what was due at closing. And then so after we get done and we do the math and kind of run through the home, the ARV, the after repair value of the home is 435. I actually with the way the market's kind of coming out here, I think we're leaning more at like 440, 445, and listing at there and maybe getting and taking this number is kind of what I think where we're leaning towards. But we'll, once we get a little bit closer and we sit down with the realtor and she's part of the community, so she's gonna run comps and do all that good stuff with all the great AI tools that we have and really kind of help us nail down a price there. With the commission on both ends with the sellers and the buyers commissions. And then what we're looking like as far as our profit goes, leaning more towards that 40 range, and then just kind of keeping it between that 35 and 40 so we're not disappointed when it's under 40.
That is that is awesome. So I don't think there's any more slides after that. So
That's not that is the
yeah, you
final
can
one.
yeah, you can stop sharing just real quick because people
Okay.
are like really like want to like just zoom in and like, oh my gosh, this is like really awesome.
Yeah, right. Okay.
That is awesome. And the reason why I say that is because the fact that this is your first deal and you have a range between 35 and 40, and that's as the market keeps changing, it can even be even more than that. But the value of what you learn going through this process, if that makes sense.
I
I think
mean,
just
yeah.
hearing y'all what y'all learn, and then you can take what you learn from this one to the next one and to the next one. But it all started by taking action. And I just want to just commend y'all, just just moving forward and doing this, and that's just really awesome. So there's some couple of strategies other people were talking about was like, hey, they like buy the material and then they just pay for labor. So there's different ways that you can do it. Is it's best. It's really based on your comfort level, right? And then your how you work with your general contractor and stuff like that. Now, there is one question I want to ask. When you did the closing, did y'all use like a private investor or did y'all kind of do it yourself?
We did it ourselves. We were on a short time frame. So when I got introduced to the deal, uh, he wanted to close in 8 days. And it was like, man, I don't know if we can make the 8 day mark, because I still have to prove financials and do all this other stuff. And I had never done it. I didn't know exactly what I had to do. I was like, we got this and that. And the wholesaler was like, well, we want to close a day or two before the first. And knowing that the seller's not going to have to pay anything until the first, I said, we need to shoot for the first. Like that's where we really need to be at for closing to give time so I can get the financials, especially if I'm going to put up money that's non-refundable, like the earnest money and your fees and things along those lines. We need to make sure that I'm going to be able to get there in 10 days. And so we were able to do that. But we weren't able to kind of pull or get this deal out to people. So we just closed in on our money.
Yeah, and you can always, you have equity and everything, and you can, position it. So it's really awesome. So one thing I just want to make sure that people understand, speed is what you need. Time wasn't on your side, but because you decided to learn this earlier before the deal came up and got around the community, you started learning some things. When the deal came, you was ready.
Yeah.
See, a lot of people think, oh, when the deal comes, then I get ready. You're gonna miss that window. And so by plugging in, having conversations, and it may feel like, oh, when is this thing gonna happen? When it's gonna happen? But then when it came, y'all was able to move and move quickly. And congratulations on that. Uh,
And getting creative with finding the finances because the time frame was so small. And the education really taught us that with pulling all of our resources in different ways to find that money to be able to do that on our own. And without the education, I don't know if we would have had that knowledge to be able to do that.
yeah,
No,
yeah,
no,
I
not
agree.
no.
But you know what's funny when y'all talking through the story too, it's interesting that as y'all was sharing this with others, because y'all was moving, like you said, hey, we're not trying to slow you down. You're moving, you're learning, you're moving, you're taking actions, and it's working. And as you was sharing with others, it's like, well, why didn't you tap me? Why didn't you ask me to help you? So what happens is, as you get ready for that next deal, your net worth starts to grow, and you start to be able to contact more on that level, which is, oh wow, you're taking this to a whole new level.
Yeah. Yeah, and us coming into because we've been part of the Renatus community now for about 18 months, almost 2 years now. So this isn't just like bam, we showed up to a meeting one day and then bam, next week, we're in a deal, because this is scary. It's we're dealing with a large amount of money. We're dealing with something that I never thought I was gonna do. When we were younger, all we ever wanted to do was own a home, one that we could put our family in and be happy with because that was our mind frame. That's where we were at. But now, we're sitting down and I told my wife the other day, I said, we always talked about owning one home. Now we own two. Next we're gonna hold and then we're gonna own three and then we're gonna own four. And now we're going to be able to do things that our parents wanted to do for us and didn't know how to do it. Now we're going to be able to do this for our kids and then teach our kids. And this is that generational wealth. Like it's a real deal. Like it's a real thing. These steps and trust in the wheel and we're not here to reinvent the wheel. We're just here to jump on and take it for a ride because it works, and that's all we're trying. We're trying to understand it the best we can understand it. We're leaning on people that are actively riding the wheel themselves, and we're just trying to run it down and put it so that way we can leave this legacy behind for our kids.
That is That is so awesome. And there's people on today, trying to figure out, should they do this? I think I just heard your why. Why are you really doing real estate investing? As you kind of walk through this, y'all both walk through this, and you kind of, um, doing this, your why really came out really strong. It's like, you know what? This is doable. We're doing it. Let's do this for our kids. So now it really pushes you through to build that foundations that you
You
always
know, and
dreamed
this
about.
and it's just not even about like the kids, like it's a whole family thing. Because
Ah,
I have family that has skill sets. I have a cousin of mine that's been a painter for 30 years, and he comes out and he painted some of the property for us. And I was able to pay him a fair wage. I didn't hit him up and say, "Hey, bud, I need the family hookup," or, "I need this." I actually told him, "Don't give me the family hookup. Charge me as if I just walked off the street and I'm asking you to do this job. Charge me that way because I can legitimately pay you that way and you have a skill set I need." So now I'm helping my family put an extra couple bucks in their pocket and utilizing their skill set as well and making them more valuable than what they are to me more than ever. Even outside of just being family. Now we can do the other things together, and I can help him with his family. It's not just mine. It's all of our family. It's not, mainly I would like mine mainly to gain from it, but if I can give that olive branch to a cousin or to a brother or to somebody to put that extra, $1,500 for the weekend of work in your pocket so you can go do something. For me, that means a lot. And being able to help family and community and things like that is a big deal for me.
well, I tell
So
you right now, you just changed my definition of family because what I just saw was the ripple effect and how you drop a pebble in the water and you see how it ripples effect and how you impacting not just your circle but the next circle and you like, hey, my cousin family, hey, you help that person and that is really awesome. And people say they just love it, they love it, they love it. And so we're getting close towards the end of the hour. And I know y'all want to get back to the property because y'all got some punch lists that y'all want to do to get this out in the market. And I'm looking at, people are saying, awesome. Thank you for sharing. This is like really awesome. That's kind of going through. Um, yeah, I agree exactly with everything what they're saying. And so as we was kind of going through this property tour and you were sharing some information, there are probably some things that probably popped up in your head and says, you know what? I remember I was on the other end and I was wondering, should I do something like this? And, what words of wisdom do y'all both want to share? And I take, one from each because everybody sees it just a little bit differently, but the end results is the same. Um, what do you want to share with everybody who's probably sitting on the fence or who's doing things, but they want to take their game to the next level? Even though this is your first deal, you still have words of wisdom. What do you want to share with everybody today?
Trust your gut and don't be scared to take that risk. Um, don't let fear overcome you. Actually take that leap. Because if you stand on the ledge and you just continue to doubt yourself, you're never going to move forward. And I think that's probably the biggest one. You never know what's going to happen unless you really go for it.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
and for me, it was a little bit of don't get caught in what is it, the paralysis by analysis.
Yeah.
Don't let that get you because you'll run numbers and you'll find a way to make it not work over and over again. And you'll find every excuse in the book. And I think what it's going to take is it's just, you got to just know where you want to go and where you want to be. And like, taking some pictures and hanging them up on your door so when every time you open it you see where you want to be and what you want to do, like that's real stuff. That's not just like do it because it's there. Like, no, that's real. Like, look at what you want and think about what you want. I think about it all the time now. Where do I want to be? Like, there's in my neighborhood there's this Corvette that cruises around here all the time and it's the sweetest looking car. Sweetest looking car. We were driving down the street the other day. I told my wife, I said, look, now that we're doing what we're doing and we're going to keep growing, I said, I'm going to buy me one of those. I said, the one of those I'm going to buy. I promise you, watch, I'm going to buy me one of those. And that's kind of a little bit thing that's motivating. We've got a son that just left to Salt Lake City for college this last year. I would love more than anything to, when he's done with college, to write him a check and say, you have no debt, but go get it, because I had a lot of, I'm still paying on my student loans. 20 years later, I'm still paying on them. I'd love to be able to write him a check and be like, dude, you're done. Go get it.
Awesome.
And so just don't be afraid to pull the trigger, but just know you have the knowledge behind you. Take the time to educate yourself.
And the
Talk to
support
people.
system.
Yeah, talk to people, hang around people, go to the dinners after the in-house meetings that you have in Chicago and in all these other places and stuff like that. We've sat down on the same table with Bobby T several times. We love Bobby T. He's an awesome dude. I'd love to go to Chicago and sit down out there with him, and we've had an opportunity to be around a lot of those guys, and they've also explained to us that don't analyze to death. Set a perimeter of what you're looking for, and once you get inside that perimeter, go get it. And that's what it is.
That is awesome. Well, thank you. And I'm going to look forward to seeing y'all at Nationals in March timeframe. So this is where we get to hang out and just, the hugs and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
kind of like, I'd love to do that. And so thank you for taking your time out, sharing with us, your deal, helping us break into 2025, and y'all did an outstanding job, and just this to start really help us, and I'm really motivated because we have these property tours every Saturday, and y'all just knocked it out of the park. And just thank you for
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
being vulnerable. Thank you for sharing your process and how you learn and you grow and you're taking actions. And then I took some notes. Yes, I did. I took some notes because you definitely reframed how I thought about some things, and hopefully people today actually listen to this also and kind of move forward. So again, everybody, thank you for being here. We got to let them go because they got to go ahead and finish up this house that they just showed you because they want to get it on the market this week. And all
I would like to thank everybody that gave us their time as well for sitting here and listening to our story, because we've been on the other end where we've been listening. So to be on this side, it just makes it more real for us.
Full circle.
It gets realer and realer and realer as we kind of keep running down this line. So and I know everybody's time is valuable. It's not just ours or yours. It's everybody's time is everything. So I'd like to thank everybody for taking the time to listen to what we had to say
that's
today.
awesome. And I want to say, hey, Scott, thank you for putting this together. If it wasn't for you, my friend,
Yes, thank you.
you've been doing this. I think we coming up on 5 years. You've been doing this for a while, and we just thank you for allowing us to use this platform to showcase real people doing real deals in today's time. So again, everybody, have an awesome Saturday. See you next Saturday. Thank the person who invited you to this meeting, and have an awesome weekend. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye.